Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. Now, when I was pregnant, I was doing research on everything I felt like I should prepare for and could expect for when the baby comes. And one of the things that I kept hearing new moms say over and over is that they wish that they had prepared meals for that postpartum period. Now, that made a lot of sense to me because, as you guys know, I am so obsessed with food, and I could just picture that after the exhaustion of giving birth and taking care of a newborn, that having easy to cook meals that we actually love would be incredible. If you want to see my birth story, I will link that down below, as well as our labor and delivery vlog. So with that very long intro out of the way, let's jump right in. All right, so we're starting in my hot mess of a freezer, which, spoiler alert, it's not really gonna look that much better when I'm done, but to me, it's like incredible when we're done. This was so amazing. But anyways, we had a lot of food to organize, and actually sometimes I'm unsure of how I want to organize video clips, but a lot of this stuff is what you're gonna see me cooking. This was just kind of the process of taking everything out and taking inventory of everything that we had, because the way that I actually cooked for this was I took inventory after I created all of the meals, because I kind of already had an idea of what I had on hand. I just knew that I wanted to eventually create a really specific inventory so that I could literally lie in bed for 4 days-ish after giving birth, or however long I needed to, and literally just place an order from the inventory without standing in front of my freezer to look. Now, something that I've never done, but I've always wanted to do, was create smoothie packs. So I love smoothies. Smoothies are a great way to get extra nutrition in, but I'm really specific about my smoothies. I mean, I'm really specific about all of my food, which is, I guess, why I'm freezer cooking in the first place. But one of the smoothies that I decided to make was my old standby, a peanut butter chocolate protein smoothie. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have the most specific recipes for any of these smoothies. I just kind of threw things together as I went. So for this smoothie, I did frozen bananas, a handful of sprouted pumpkin seeds. I also added a handful of hemp seeds and about a tablespoon of flaxseed. I actually wish I had added more flaxseed. It's so good for you postpartum, and it helps to aid in the production of breast milk. So I also added a little bit of cacao nibs, as well as a scoop of PB2. Kind of wish I had left that out because that's added sugar I really didn't need, but I did that. I also added a scoop of this Amazing Greens green superfood powder in the chocolate cacao flavor, and then I added some organic cacao powder. I feel like I just go overboard with the ingredients, but this is what I did. I also added a scoop of organic peanut butter to each of the bags, as well as a little bit of organic vanilla extract. I also added a scoop of some organic full-fat Greek yogurt. I love this stuff. I started craving it in my pregnancy, and I still like eating it now postpartum. I also added a dash of organic ground cinnamon, and then that's it for this smoothie. It feels weird saying that's it because this has like 600 ingredients in it, but that was this smoothie bag. Now, just so you know, I wrote the name of the smoothie on each bag, and I thought I could add little directions like add protein powder. I ended up giving up on that method like halfway through all the smoothie bags, but that's what I did for this flavor. So next up, I wanted to make a cherry almond butter smoothie, which this might be my favorite. I'm not sure. I just love the combination of cherry and almond butter, or really cherry and any nut butter. It's just so good. So I took some of these organic frozen cherries that I picked up from Costco, scooped those into my little baggies. By the way, I did 5 of each smoothie. Then I added, oh, just kidding, it was peanut butter, as well as this nutso butter, which is a combination of like cashew nuts, chia seeds, Brazil nuts, just a bunch of great nuts and seeds. Then, because I'm always looking for a reason to add hemp seeds to my food because they add protein and good fats, I threw in some hemp seeds, hemp hearts, whatever they're called, as well as some ground flaxseed. Then I also added some more sprouted pumpkin seeds and a little bit of this bulletproof MCT oil. Then I added a scoop of this Tone It Up vanilla protein powder to each bag, and that completed this smoothie. It was so good, like I said, definitely one of my favorite. And I will tell you, I wasn't sure how smoothie packs were gonna work out. I don't know why, I just felt a little apprehensive, but they have been amazing with a capital A, underlined, bold, highlighted, all of that. So next up, I decided to make a berries and greens smoothie. So I took this bag of organic frozen blueberries that I also got from Costco. Costco is my favorite place to buy frozen fruit from because I think their stuff is a great deal. They carry a lot of organic. It's just the best. So I scooped some blueberries into each of the bags, as well as a scoop of this antioxidant organic blend, which is just a bunch of mixed berries, and I added those to the bag. Then I took some of these organic goji berries and threw a scoop in the blend, trying to find different phrases other than just like in the bag. Then I took some more of this MCT oil, added that, as well as a handful of organic spinach to each of the smoothies as well. Now in retrospect, I kind of wish I had added maybe like some more green powder or just even more fresh spinach, because this smoothie was so good. In fact, it was a little too good. I know I could have tolerated a lot more greens. I also added one of my current favorite treats or like additives in life, and that is this organic, raw, unfiltered honey from Wholesome. I actually didn't know until recently that there's a big difference between honey and raw, unfiltered honey. So if you want something fun to Google, go ahead and look that up. But I love this stuff. It's pricey, but I really enjoy it. So now we're moving on to something else I made this day, and that is some sun-dried tomato hummus. Now I have made a white bean dip kind of version of this, but today I used organic canned garbanzo beans. I dumped them into a strainer and rinsed them off, and then threw them into my Ninja food processor. Then I added 4 cloves of garlic, as well as some of these sun-dried tomatoes that I picked up from Costco. Actually, it's a lot of sun-dried tomatoes, as you can see, but I think that's what makes it taste so good. Then I squeezed some fresh lemon juice into the mix. This lemon press is my favorite lemon press I have ever had, by the way. I literally can't recommend it enough. It will change your lemon game. So I have that linked in the Shop My Kitchen portion of my blog. And seriously, I'm hardcore selling to you right now because this lemon press is amazing. Anyways, then I added some olive oil and then blended up my hummus. And then I stored it into 4 separate containers to add in the freezer. I have found out that cheese dips, hummuses, really any dip freezes so well, at least from what I've tried. I haven't had a fail yet. And this hummus is so good, but it is strong and intense. And so I can't ever finish a batch. So making little containers for the freezer has been so fun for me. And I actually do this with items I pick up from Costco too that are too big, because then I don't have to stress about eating it all. And whenever I want more, I get a fresh container right out of the freezer. All right, so next up, I made one of my oldie but goodies standby meals, and that is Cajun chicken pasta. So I started off by chopping up these purple onions. I typically only have like white sweet onions on hand, but I really think purple onions are fun in this dish because it adds more color, and I'm someone who really enjoys getting as much color in my meal as possible, even if it's more of a beige dish like this one. At this point, by the way, I was soaking all of my bell peppers in my Thieves Fruit and Veggie wash, which I'm obsessed with. It does such a good job at cleaning my produce. So after the bell peppers had soaked and gotten clean, I took them out of the bowl, the bath, and sliced them up into these long, thin strips. By the way, while I was doing that, Dan was de-skinning some cloves of garlic, and then because we made an extra big batch, because this was going in the freezer, we had to cook the veggies on 2 overflowing pans. So we threw them in these pans, added, I believe, some butter and olive oil, as well as a ton of Cajun seasoning, like tons. Our favorite Cajun seasoning, by the way, is McCormick's. We've tried a bunch of random Cajun seasoning, and for some reason, this is just the one that we love. So we seasoned the heck out of these veggies, cooked them on a really high heat. And then while those were cooking, I threw some of this organic linguine that we picked up from Aldi into a pot to get cooking. And then when the veggies were done, we took that off, and then in a pan created the sauce, which consisted of veggie broth, wine, some heavy whipping cream. I think I added a little bit of flour to thicken it up, some shredded Parmesan cheese, and of course more Cajun seasoning because #never enough. Then I threw all of the veggies that I had cooked into the 2 pans with the sauce to allow everything to cook together and simmer for a little bit. Then I also threw the chicken that we had cooked up into the pans as well. And then as you can see, I just kept adding Cajun seasoning. Like we used, I don't even know, most of this container on this meal. Oh, and that's me adding the cheese, which I believe was just Parmesan, but it might have been some Parmesan and some cheddar into the mix. And then I just stirred everything together. And let me tell you, it is not as yummy tasting as it looks. It's more yummy tasting than it looks. I'm not kidding. I just love Cajun so much. So just so you know, when we freeze this meal, we don't freeze it with noodles. We just freeze all of, the sauce, the mixture. And then when we want the meal, we cook the noodles fresh and thaw and reheat the sauce. And the other thing that I decided to freeze as well was parsley from my tower garden. So this was fresh right here, but I have so much parsley and I've noticed that it freezes really well and I can easily re-chop it and add it to chicken noodle soup or this Cajun chicken pasta or whatever our hearts desire. All right, so another thing I wanted to make was this roasted tomato, mushroom, and garlic soup. So I pulled all of the vine part off of these tomatoes that I picked up from Costco, like the tomatoes on the vine. And I wanted to keep the vine to actually roast on the pan, but I pulled those off, chopped up my tomatoes as well as my mushrooms, and then I threw them onto a baking sheet to roast. Then I drizzled a bunch of organic extra virgin olive oil all over the veggies, and I added a couple bulbs of garlic to the pan to roast as well. I literally just cut the head off the bulb and everything else stays inside its shell while it roasts. Then I threw the tray of veggies into the oven. I believe it was around 400 degrees-ish for maybe 20-25 minutes. I don't know, I just tend to check my food when I'm cooking and see how I feel about it. So once it was done, I pulled the veggies out, and as you can see, the garlic just kind of spits out of the bulb, and it smells and tastes amazing. So then I added all of the rest of the veggies minus the vine part to the pot with a little bit of water and some of this organic better than bouillon veggie broth. You don't need much broth because the tomatoes are obviously very watery themselves. I let it all simmer though in the broth, and I added a bay leaf as well as some white wine to just kind of cook down together. And when I felt like everything had a chance to cook and simmer, I took out the bay leaf and then I used my hand immersion blender, which I love this thing. This makes making soups that are like creamy or smooth like this so much easier. All right, speaking of soup, and I've actually eaten this a bunch since I made it, I wanted to make this chicken noodle soup. This is such an easy version of chicken noodle soup. I basically just took a bunch of celery and I diced that up. Then I threw the celery into the crock pot. Then I chopped up and added a bunch of carrots. I also chopped up and added some white sweet onions. Then I crushed a few cloves of garlic. Next up, I added some of this organic chicken broth that I picked up from Aldi, as well as some organic chicken breast that we picked up at Aldi as well. Now, let me just tell you, I shouldn't have added the chicken in yet. We've made this again since this point because we loved it so much. We now add the chicken a little bit later so it's not so overcooked, if that makes sense. I added in a bay leaf, some dried rosemary, a little bit of oregano, as well as some crushed red chili pepper flakes, and then I let the crock pot do the cooking. Now, it was the same thing with this soup. We only froze the soup part, not the noodles, and so when we have been eating this soup, we just cook the noodles up and then also cook the broth up and then mix everything together at the end. By the way, this is the main way that we have been storing soups, are in Ziploc baggies in basically like either huge single servings or smaller double servings. So yeah, that is it for this first freezer video. I filmed these, like I said, across multiple days. So the next one you'll see is on a totally different day, and you'll get to see the rest of what we have been eating from here in our 4th trimester. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you are still hearing me talk, check the info box because I'm back again doing giveaways to say thank you to you guys for all of your support. I've always been grateful, like seriously, I've always been grateful for this job, but now having a baby and getting to provide for him this way and work with my husband, it's just like the gratitude level has gone up to 10,000 and I didn't think it could go any higher. So thank you guys for all of your support. I will see you back here soon with another video, and that's it for now. All right, guys, bye.